Hello and a very warm welcome to Mindshift Media, the place where we explore the fascinating landscape of our minds and hearts. I'm your host, Teodor. Have you ever found yourself wondering why? Why do some people seem to breeze through life while others struggle with their mental well-being? Why do conditions like anxiety, depression, or even more complex challenges emerge? It's a question that touches almost all of us, whether through our own experiences or those of people we care about. In fact, statistics show that nearly 1 in 5 adults experience some form of mental illness each year. That's a significant number, isn't it? It tells us we're not alone in these questions or experiences. Today, we're diving deep into a crucial topic: what causes mental health problems? Now, if you're looking for a single, simple answer, I have to tell you up front, it's not quite like that. The human mind is incredibly complex, a beautiful tapestry woven from countless threads. And just like any intricate tapestry, when there's a snag or a tear, the reasons can be multifaceted. But understanding these potential causes is the first powerful step towards compassion, prevention, and healing for ourselves and for others. So let's embark on this journey of discovery together, shall we? To truly grasp what can lead to mental health challenges, experts often use a framework called the biopsychosocial model. Fancy name, I know, but it's actually quite intuitive. It suggests that our mental well-being is influenced by a dynamic interplay of 3 key areas. 1. Biological factors. This includes our genetics, our brain chemistry, our physical health, and even things like substance use. Think of it as the hardware and a bit of the preloaded software we're born with and how our body functions. 2. Psychological factors. This realm covers our individual thought patterns, our beliefs about ourselves and the world, our coping mechanisms for stress, our past experiences, especially trauma, and our overall temperament or personality. This is more about our internal emotional and cognitive landscape. 3. Social and environmental factors. This is about our external world, our relationships, our family dynamics, our cultural upbringing, socioeconomic status, experiences of discrimination or marginalization, major life stressors like job loss or bereavement, and the support systems, or lack thereof, around us. It's rarely just one of these areas acting in isolation. More often, it's a combination, a dance between these different influences that can tip the scales towards a mental health problem. Imagine a plant. Its growth depends on the quality of the seed, biological, the care it receives and its own resilience, psychological, and the soil, sunlight, and water it's given, social, environmental. All are vital. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore each of these areas a little more closely, providing some relatable examples and actionable insights. Let's start with the biological components. First up, genetics. You might have heard that certain mental health conditions can run in families, and it's true that genetics can play a role. Some individuals may inherit a predisposition or a higher vulnerability to developing certain conditions. For example, if you have a close relative with depression or bipolar disorder, your statistical likelihood of experiencing it might be slightly higher. But here's a crucial, empowering point: genetics are not destiny. Having a genetic predisposition doesn't guarantee you'll develop a condition. It's more like having a particular set of cards dealt to you. How you play them and the environment you play them in still matters immensely. Then there's brain chemistry. We often hear about neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine in discussions about mood and mental health. These chemical messengers are vital for communication between brain cells, and imbalances can indeed be associated with conditions like depression or anxiety. Medications that target these neurotransmitters can be incredibly helpful for many. However, it's an oversimplification to say mental illness is just a chemical imbalance. It's part of a much larger, more complex picture. And we absolutely cannot overlook physical health. Our brains are not separate from our bodies. Chronic physical illnesses, hormonal imbalances like thyroid issues, chronic pain, poor nutrition, lack of sleep, and substance misuse can all significantly impact our mental state. There's fascinating research on the gut-brain axis, for example, showing how the health of our digestive system can influence our mood and cognitive function. While you can't change your genes, you can influence your biological well-being. Prioritizing good sleep, a balanced diet, regular physical activity, and addressing any underlying physical health issues can create a stronger foundation for mental wellness. If you suspect a physical issue might be impacting your mood, talk to your doctor. Now let's shift our focus inward to the psychological factors. This is where our personal history and our ways of thinking and feeling come into play. Early life experiences and trauma are profoundly significant. Adverse childhood experiences, often called ACEs, things like neglect, abuse, witnessing domestic violence, or growing up with a parent struggling with substance abuse, can have long-lasting effects on brain development and increase the risk of mental health problems later in life. Trauma, whether from childhood or adulthood, like combat, a serious accident, or assault, can reshape how we see the world, ourselves, and others, often leading to conditions like PTSD, anxiety, and depression. Imagine someone, let's call her Sarah. If Sarah grew up in an environment where her emotional needs weren't met, or where she felt consistently unsafe, she might develop core beliefs like, "I'm not good enough," or "the world is a dangerous place." These beliefs, formed early on, can act like a lens through which she views all future experiences. This leads us to negative thought patterns and beliefs. Many of us develop unhelpful thinking habits, sometimes called cognitive distortions. Things like catastrophizing, expecting the worst, black and white thinking, seeing things in extremes, or overgeneralization, taking one negative event as a sign of endless defeat. These patterns can fuel anxiety and depression, creating a bit of a vicious cycle. Our coping mechanisms are also key. When faced with stress, do we turn to healthy strategies like exercise, talking to a friend, mindfulness, or problem solving? Or do we lean on unhealthy coping mechanisms like avoidance, substance use, or excessive self-criticism? The strategies we develop, often learned in childhood, can either buffer us against stress or exacerbate its impact. This is an area where self-awareness and often professional support can make a huge difference. Therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, are specifically designed to help identify and challenge negative thought patterns and develop healthier coping skills. Journaling can be a powerful tool for self-reflection, and if trauma is part of your story, know that specialized therapies can help you heal and reclaim your narrative. You don't have to carry that burden alone. Finally, let's look at the social and environmental factors, the world we live in and how it shapes us. Our relationships and support systems are paramount. Feeling connected, loved, and understood provides a powerful buffer against stress and adversity. Conversely, loneliness, social isolation, or toxic relationships can significantly detract from our mental well-being. Think about the difference it makes to have someone you can truly confide in during a tough time versus feeling like you have no one to turn to. Socioeconomic status also plays an undeniable role. Poverty, unemployment, financial insecurity, lack of access to safe housing, nutritious food, or quality healthcare. These are immense stressors that can directly impact mental health. The constant worry about meeting basic needs can be an incredibly heavy burden. Cultural factors and societal norms can influence how mental health is perceived, whether help seeking is encouraged or stigmatized, and even how symptoms are expressed. In some cultures, it might be more acceptable to express emotional distress physically rather than verbally. Experiences of discrimination, marginalization, and systemic injustice based on race, gender, sexual orientation, disability, or other factors are deeply traumatic and can contribute significantly to chronic stress, anxiety, depression, and other mental health conditions. Feeling unsafe, undervalued, or constantly embattled because of who you are takes a profound toll. Major life stressors like the death of a loved one, a divorce, losing a job, or even significant life changes perceived as positive, like moving or starting a new career, can also trigger or worsen mental health problems, especially if we lack adequate coping skills or support. While we can't always control our environment, we can take steps to cultivate positive social connections. Nurture your existing relationships, consider joining groups or communities that share your interests, and don't be afraid to set boundaries in relationships that drain you. Advocating for social change and supporting organizations that fight inequity can also be empowering. And when facing major life stressors, give yourself grace and seek extra support. So, as you can see, the causes of mental health problems aren't usually found in just one neat little box. It's almost always an intricate interplay. A biological vulnerability might be triggered by a significant life stressor in someone who also struggles with negative thought patterns and lacks a strong support system. There's a concept called the diathesis stress model, which basically suggests that individuals may have an underlying predisposition, the diathesis, for a disorder, which then remains dormant until triggered by stress. That stress can be psychological, social, or even biological, like an illness. The key takeaway here is that everyone's story is unique. Two people can experience similar adversities, but their genetic makeup, their psychological resilience, their coping strategies, and their social support will mean they respond differently. Understanding this complexity isn't meant to overwhelm, but to empower. It helps us move away from blame or simplistic explanations and towards a more holistic, compassionate, and effective approach to mental wellness. It highlights that there are many potential avenues for intervention, healing, and prevention. So what are the key takeaways from our discussion today on what causes mental health problems? Firstly, mental health is complex, influenced by a blend of biological, psychological, and social environmental factors. It's rarely just one thing. Secondly, understanding these potential causes helps us approach mental health with more empathy, both for ourselves and others. It's not about weakness or a character flaw. And thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, this understanding opens doors to multiple pathways for healing and strengthening our mental well-being. Whether it's addressing physical health, learning new coping skills, building stronger social connections, or seeking professional support, there is always hope, and there are always steps we can take. The journey to understanding our mental health is ongoing, and today was just one part of that exploration. The most powerful thing we can do with this knowledge is to use it, to foster more compassion, to reduce stigma, and to encourage ourselves and those around us to seek support when needed. Your well-being matters. Your story matters. Thank you so much for joining me on Mindshift Media today. I hope this conversation has shed some light and offered some comfort. If you found this episode helpful, please consider subscribing to Mindshift Media so you don't miss out on future episodes. Give us a like if this resonated with you. It really helps others find our community. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. We'd also love to hear your thoughts. What resonated with you? Do you have experiences or insights you'd like to share? Leave a comment below. Let's continue the conversation. Until next time, be kind to your mind and take gentle care of yourself.